Hello, and welcome back. We are... well, I am late. This is another test stream. No surprise there, but this should be the last test stream. That is to say, I'm almost done with finishing setting everything up for YouTube again. For those who don't know, I'm back from my vacation to Twitch, and I'm just now trying to get into the thick of things for YouTube again. So I updated some settings, changed the bitrate, and I'm now trying to use HEVC encoding to see if things will go better. And I had no idea what to play. I legit ran out of filler. So today I'm going to live up to my name as a platformer genius and play Sonic 1 until I get tired, bored, or beat the game. If there are any bitrate problems, I do apologize. I am pretty much still trying to fix things and trying to figure things out. But once everything is figured out, I do want to continue some of the series I kind of left behind on this channel. Things like Yakuza and maybe going back to Crash again so I could play Crash 2. So on and so forth. Also, right above my head, you'll see a new chat box with placeholder visuals. If I were to type something, it would show fancy text. Actually, let me reposition the chat box in my OBS so I can actually do that thing. Just a second. It'll look weird because I haven't really set my own name in the text or in the chat box to actually have legible text. It still has that yellow background, but it'll look weird as a result. Yeah, see, it's a little cut off. I'll have to figure out the thing, but yeah, it works. And I'm very happy it works because it took a lot of CSS learning to try to make it transparent and change the way the text looks. Also, it vanishes on its own after a little bit, so it doesn't clutter. So that's cool. Anyway, like I said before, we're going to be playing, not this, we're not playing Revenge of Shinobi. We're instead going to be playing Sonic 1, the original. I've beaten it twice before, once in like 2019 or something, and once a couple of years ago. So yeah, guess we'll hit this button and we'll begin. The audio is probably going to be either super low or super high, because it is an old game. I tried keeping it low by default, but if it's too low, let me know. Is the controller plugged in? It is not. So give me just a moment while I fix that. Already with the technical difficulties. No worries though. I can just blame it on the fact that I'm using a Switch controller. It is notorious for not agreeing with literally anything on PC. So, restarting. There we go. I think it's because it was unplugged by the time I actually started the thing. Still not detecting. That's weird. Oh wait, no. I know exactly what's happening. It's because when I had tested it before, I didn't apply it. There we go. My mistake. Alright. For real this time. Alright. Let me open the sources. Well, why is it fast? Okay, there we go. Okay, for real this time. Okay, now I'm in control. So, funny story going into this, just so I can find an excuse to talk about something. So, Sonic 2 was the first game I have ever seen as a kid. My mom owned a copy, she had a Genesis, and it was just gathering dust on the shelf. But I was too young to actually understand what exactly I was looking at when I saw the game the game's case. I thought it was just a very weird looking and thin VHS. So I was like, oh, can I watch this? Because it looked very much like a cartoon. So I was like, yeah, I want to see this. I want to watch this. And then she's like, no, you can't mess with this. And I found it a little weird that she didn't say, watch this. Like, I can't watch it or I can't play it or whatever. Which made me assume that it wasn't just like a movie or just a VHS to watch. So that piqued my curiosity more, and I never ended up seeing her play it. Like, legit, it just sat there and I never learned what it was. And then fast forward some undetermined amount of years after that, she got me my first ever video game anything that was like mine to own, that I didn't have to share, being a Game Boy Advance. I got it when I was 7? Yeah, when I was 7. It was the transparent purple one. And the first video game I ever owned ended up being Sonic Advance. So it was pretty interesting that it came full circle there. Especially since I had played it for some, like, couple weeks, but was having a difficult time trying to, like, just play the game being as young as I was. And then my mom comes up and she's like, oh, hey, I don't know if this move is possible in this game, but try holding down and jumping. And that's how I learned to spin dash. And the fact that she was the one to teach me to do that specifically kind of like cemented to me that maybe she was a bit of a gamer. Which you wouldn't expect at that time. But yeah, she ended up knowing a thing or two. And that was just my mom. My dad played a lot of games too. He had a PS1. He played a heck of a lot of Xbox back in the day. But, yeah. He played Halo. He played a lot. These days, I don't know if he still is able to play these games. But when I was visiting him, we did play a lot of Halo together. We played Halo 3, I think. And going back to my mom, she doesn't play console games, but she does play a lot of mobile games. If only you've seen how many levels she's gone into. Gardenscapes of all things. And then stupid Candy Crush. It's the simplistic games, but the fact that she's gone so far, we're talking like hundreds, even like thousands of levels in. So it's like, despite how simplistic those games are, it's nothing to sneeze at, you know? So it begs the question, which one of those two ended up giving me the genius genetics? As honestly, I simply do not know. And don't even get me started on my lunatic sister who loves the Souls games. Oh my god. Platformers may be my thing, but honestly, with how garbage my aim is in first-person shooters and how I can't just play Souls games, I don't know. Maybe I'll just stay in my lane for this one. Do I still have my GBA? Oh, it showed your message! Yes! It's working! I don't still have my GBA. My sister still has her original DS. But I do have a Game Boy Color that was given to me while I was visiting my father. It's a lime green Game Boy Color, and the only... No. The only game I have for that is Pokemon Red, but I can't bring myself to play it just because it's kinda rough. And also because Leaf Green kinda spoiled me for, like, the comparative quality of the game. I think I have to go in there. No, I don't. Rip. No, I don't have my original GBA, but I wish I did. I really did want to stream Sonic Advance. I actually really wanted to stream Sonic Advance 3 again, because that one was one of my favorites. Yeah, I miss it. I do really think that the Sonic Advance games were a more faithful sequel to the original 2D ones than Sonic 4 ever was. I tried Sonic 4 a little bit back when it was on the Wii, and it was just a miserable experience. And then other people were talking about it too, saying that the physics were just weird and how it's, like, not great. But I wouldn't mind just giving it another try. I mean, I have it on Steam. I actually have both episodes 1 and 2 on Steam, so maybe it'd be worth looking into again. Yeah, the longer it goes, the harder it'll be to boot up. It's either the battery or just the internals wearing out because of either chemical wear and tear or just the electrics not really working out so well after all that time. Shoot. It sucks. But it's an unfortunate truth. Wish the spin dash was in this one, though. I know it's in Origins. I could not bring myself to buy Sonic Origins. I heard there was, like, so many... Ooh. Oh, I skipped. Nice. Yeah, I heard there were so many, like, bugs with the physics. Like, even more than Sonic 4 had. Shoot. Trying to go as high as possible because of the design philosophy. In these games, the higher you go, the not only the easier the game is, but like the more stuff you find, like these item boxes and whatnot. I was gonna actually do a full unedited long play of this and add it to the archive, but ooh, I don't know. I also played through the Game Gear version through the Sonic Adventure remake on GameCube. Oh, dang. Yeah, these things can be kind of resilient at times. I do not think I'll beat it by the end of the stream, but we'll see. I actually went through 2 DS's, I think. No, not 2 DS's, sorry. 2 Game Boy Advances. They were both SPs. The first was an original SP. I lost that one because the touchscreen got damaged because I prodded at it too hard. And the second one was a backlit SP. That one pretty much got snapped in half. I think it's because I either sat on it or... I don't know. Yeah, I did go through my old DS. I did not get a replacement for it, but, wait, did I say that I prodded at the screen too much? Because I'm pretty sure that's what the DS went through. I don't know, my bad, my brain is scrambled. No, that's how I lost my DS. I think the screen just sort of, like, cracked, like, through just general use or wear and tear for the SP. I don't know. All I know is they were both handhelds. I lost both of them. The last handheld I ever had was a 2DS that I got because I wanted to trade in my 3DS for something originally because I didn't have any games on it. And I got a 2DS instead because it was cheaper. And it was kind of embarrassing because it couldn't fold, and keeping it in your pocket's kind of awkward. It's just this big square. You impale the DS with the stylus. I didn't impale the stylus with the DS, I just sort of pressed on the screen too hard and it warped a little. Because, what game was it? It was Mario 64 DS. It had touchscreen controls for like the turning. I know you could use like just the regular pad for movement, but I used the stylus for movement because it was just smoother and better for platforming. And then I prodded at the screen too hard with it, and it was like, it kind of went white, and it was over. That's okay. That was but only one of the things that kind of broke with the DS. I lost styluses, I had some game cards that could not be read because either kids I lent it to would chew on it for some reason, and then I think the most egregious thing I had done was I had an action replay for DS that I got as a kid for Christmas. I think my parents or my mother didn't really know what it did, and I didn't know what it did. Because back in the day, I didn't really know what it was. I had heard of a Game Shark, but I thought it would only be a thing you'd use for PlayStation and Nintendo 64 or something, I don't know. But I found out very quickly that you could use it to cheat your games. As was the case with, again, Mario 64 DS, when I found out there was a database of codes you could use, including Moon Jump and All Stars and things like that. I made the stupid idea of, like, removing the action replay while it was loading all the codes, and it corrupted the thing permanently, and it made it so that way whenever you boot up the DS, or any DS with the thing in it, it would just, like, have a static screen on the touch screen. And so I was like, nope, that piece of hardware's done. Shoot. So yeah, I was both responsible and irresponsible as a kid. I was responsible because I didn't want to let any other kids mess with this stuff after they chewed up some of my games. And I was irresponsible because I myself was the problem in these specific cases. And then there was the instance of when I got my games. So the action replay bundled with books at Scholastic Book. I wish they would have had it at book fairs. Oh god, that's another tangent in and of itself. But I'll get to that in a moment, but I just want to finish my thought really quick on the DS itself. But I do want to tell that story too. So, yeah, where even was I? I don't even remember. Let me think. It was... right, when I got the games. I got my DS long before I got any games for it, and the reason is because I told my mother that it could run Nintendo GBA games, and so logically speaking, I guess she thought that, oh, because they could run them, that I wouldn't have to worry about, or she wouldn't have to worry about buying me any DS games anytime soon, because that's exactly what ended up happening. And then I saw Sonic Rush was a thing, and to me it was like the coolest handheld Sonic game ever, because it was basically a spiritual successor to the DS games despite having 2.5D graphics. And it had the boost style of gameplay like Unleashed did, and I didn't know Unleashed was a thing. In fact, I'm honestly not even sure if Unleashed had come out by then. But I thought it was the coolest thing ever, because you were moving faster than you would with the Sonic Advance 1 through 3, and you had boost style gameplay, so you didn't have to worry about enemies being placed in front of you like this chump, and then you could just do tricks when you're grinding on rails, and then you could do tricks while in the air, and then they introduced Blaze as a playable character, and then they actually had a story with dialogue compared to the other GBA games, which is nice. I mean, there was dialogue in Sonic Advance 3, but it was very limited. So I thought it was really cool, and I kept begging my mother for it, but she was like, no, it's expensive, I don't have the money, which I understand, and I understood then too. But like as a kid, you kind of like don't want to be told something's too expensive because it dashes your hopes and dreams of getting it. And then one day for my birthday, like 3, maybe 4 years after it came out, she got it for me when we were having dinner at an Olive Garden. And I was really excited, but like enough time had passed to the point where my excitement was kind of suppressed. But I was still happy and I was still grateful. And I made sure she knew that I was grateful for it. So yeah, It was weird. But I didn't have literally any DS game of my own before that. And then like after I got Sonic Rush is when she started getting me like DS games for Christmas. There's some weird titles though, like SimCity Creator and some Naruto game for DS. And then what else? My sister got Kingdom Hearts on DS. I forget. 358 Days Over 2. That one. Not coded, which sucks because coded actually looked better. But I don't know. Was coded even out then? I genuinely just do not know. Okay, I'm like flying all over the place. These special stages are like the worst. The capital W worst in any, out of any. Good God. This sucks. Yeah, no. I'll preface this by saying I will not be getting all of the emeralds, which are 6 in this game compared to the usual 7. Anyway, but yeah, long before she got me Sonic Rush, some of my friends took pity on me and started like letting me borrow games. One of them let me borrow Pokemon Pearl, which was pretty cool. And then, but he never told me that he wanted it back. Like he just operated under the assumption that I'd keep it, but then he wanted it back, so I was like, oh. I was sad, but I had to let it go, as it wasn't mine. And then someone that was part of a group of like quote-unquote mean girls took sympathy and had a game she didn't want anymore, so she she gave me a chewed up copy of the game Ping Pals, which is a whole can of worms in and of itself. So the DS, much like the Game Boy Advance and some games for the GBA before it, or rather the Game Boy Color before it, had shovelware, or games that were close enough to being shovelware. And Ping Pals was kind of like that. It was like a cut above PictoChat. It was like an emulated chat room where you would do communications with either the NPCs in the game or with some of the nearby players, like nearby players with GB... Why do I keep saying GBA? Other players with Nintendo DS's via download play who also either had Ping Pals or would do download play who didn't have it. And you'd basically play chat games. Like, I think there was like a charades thing or whatever. I think you'd draw an object and have some people like guess it or whatnot. I don't know. I don't remember. I never did the download play nonsense. I just did the NPC chat games, and you could level up your reputation with those NPCs by, like, answering Y or N to their yes or no questions that they ask you, and depending on whether or not they like what you say, it, like, makes them react positively or react negatively, and then you get coins for those conversations to unlock avatar customizations, or you could just cheat and type in the money words that give you money. But it was a very self-contained game that was trying to be like a better PictoChat. And it sucked. And it was the only game I had for a very long time, and it made me very depressed as a kid. But it was something, and like I always say, something's always better than nothing. Even if it's the less desirable option. Well, depending on what it is. Guess something's not always better than nothing in that case, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, it's my history of games on that. Now about that book fair. So, book fairs, as you know, are touted as something you would go to get a new book to read because teachers want you to read more books when you're a kid. Ah, shoot. You know, so on and so forth. I didn't go there to get, like, real books or regular books. I went in there for the souvenirs. But more often than that, I would go there for the cheat code manuals. Because I don't know if it was Prima Games or whatnot, but one of them had those cheat code books for whatever consoles and handhelds were popular at the time, and I always got the different volumes of the Game Boy Advance manuals. And then they had one for Nintendo DS, and I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh my god, I need to get this. And it was notably like twice as big as the Game Boy Advance books, because it came with Game Boy Advance cheat codes, and they had an index of the different games. And then they had some stuff for like the console itself, I think, where it's like, oh, you could do this if you do this on your console. Like, if you hold certain buttons on the Game Boy Advance startup screen, you can remove the Nintendo logo, and then if you press a button again, you could cause the Nintendo logo to return. And it was just neat little gimmicks for the console, like on the console firmware level. But for the games itself, it was like... it was like a survival guide for like the hardest games. I didn't see any that had cheat devices with them. I wish they did, because even though, okay, that's a very weird jump. Even though, like, at the end of the day it's cheats, like, when you're a kid, something like that is, like, very cool. It makes you feel like you've got an exclusive thing for your console. Ah, shoot. I actually really don't like this boss design. It invokes, like, a false sense of panic by limiting your movement. Thankfully, every single boss, except maybe the last boss or something, takes exactly 8 hits to beat. But, yeah, if I had an Action Replay or a Game Shark bundle there with a cheat code bundle, I'd feel like the Codemaster for sure. I'd be like, hey, I'd stroll up to my friends and be like, hey, want a cheat code for your favorite game? I see you're playing Spyro Season of Ice. Want the Infinite Gems cheat? Hey, I see you're playing Sonic Battle. Want all the moves unlocked? It made you just feel super cool just having all the cheat codes when no one else was even interested in the codes manual. Speaking of friends who would play the GBA and the DS, it became kind of like a... Oh jeez, I forgot about these guys. It became kind of like a culture, at least where I was at, to play like the Game Boy or the DS on the bus ride to school, even though most teachers would be like, no, don't play it on the bus, it's gonna rot your brain before you get to school, then you're not gonna pay attention. And in my case they were right, because literally all I wanted to do was either play my Game Boy or trade Pokemon on Leaf Green with friends when I had it, because I had the little wireless adapter. Oh god, there's another tangent I could go on. But and then in the DS era, could play DS Download Play with friends. Legit, New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, like the very first New Super Mario Bros. Was like peak multiplayer, in my opinion, with my friends. Even if they didn't have a copy of the game, it was just like such fun, because like you would do the stars, and then like you do the mini games. God. Whoop. It was so nice. It was a very nice time. But I think despite that being peak, I would have much preferred if we played more of the Mario 64 DS, because the battle mode there, it was mostly the same when you did the collect the stars thing, but it was in 3D on the regular DS, no less, like full 3D. It was peak. Did I get into Mario vs. Sonic Wars? Yes, very much so, and I regret it, because it made me a cringe Sonic kid growing up. I got over it very quickly, but yeah. And I do agree on the Digimon versus Pokemon thing. I was on the side of Pokemon on that, but only because I hadn't looked at anything Digimon related. Only thing I had seen at the time was looking at Agumon and thinking he was like so ugly. Nowadays, I honestly don't care. I've had my fun with Pokemon. I have games that I did not complete, and you know, I don't want to be like the whole screw Nintendo, screw Pokemon kind of guy because of recent stuff with Pal World, but it is discouraging me from getting ZA. Well, it's half the reason. The other half is because I don't have a Switch 2 and I don't want to get like the regular Switch version because I know it'll be watered down and it'll make me kind of sad. I mean, maybe I'll get it. I don't know. But I still need to go back and finish the DLC for Sword and Shield. And then I need to get the DLC for Scarlet and Violet. But I pretty much was on the side of Pokemon for that. And then for Mario and Sonic, I was staunchly on the side of Sonic because I thought Sonic was so much cooler. And he is. But now, like, I take a look at Mario and I'm just like, you know what? These both games are okay for what they are. And I don't need to like justify why one is better than the other. But if I were to make a pick between either or, for me right now, it's leaning toward Mario because Mario, like, I don't know, like, there have been some Sonic games that came out that I thought were fine, but every time I see the discourse online, it's always along the lines of, this Sonic game doesn't have what I'm looking for, so it's bad. Why doesn't this have the M word in it? The M being momentum, in reference to Sonic Forces and Sonic Frontiers having like some level of momentum. Yeah. Yeah, Sonic Adventure definitely was like one of the turning points for me for like defining the fact that I liked Sonic. But the biggest one for me, ironically enough, was Sonic Heroes. A lot of people like to say it's their least favorite Sonic, even though I thought it was really good. It's just the UI aesthetic and like the music like got me. And also because it was the very first Christmas gift that I ever spoiled for myself. Because I saw it just hanging around on my mother's bed in her room, like when I was passing by after school, and I was like, oh, a copy of Sonic Heroes. Why would she have this? And I'm like, wait, she has this, but no GameCube. Is this the right way? I don't know. I think this is. And then I like saw a wrapped package that was conveniently GameCube game size. So as a kid, I thought it was sneaky and tore open the side of the package that was gonna have the title of the game like on the edge, but only such so that way it would be barely noticeable. And I saw the Sonic Heroes title and I was like, yep, that's it. And then I sealed it back up, but she noticed. And she was mad. But then I told her, oh, I only checked because I saw it on your bed. And then she was like, God dang it. Well, there you go. Merry Christmas. And I was like apologizing profusely the whole time. That's so funny. What was that tangent that I said I wanted to go on? Oh, the Pokemon connector thing. So, Fire Red and Leaf Green on the GBA had a new and different kind of link cable. It wasn't a cable, it was an adapter that you could plug into the top of the GBA, and it would allow you to trade with other players, but also I think it let you interface with promotional material. Sonic 06. Oh my god, Sonic 06. I'll get to that one shortly. Yeah, I kind of agree, though. But, ooh, that platform timing is kind of bad. But this link cable was a big part of my childhood because it led to me wanting more peripherals for the GBA. Yeah, nostalgia goggles tend to be like a big thing when it comes to what you like. I don't want to let nostalgia blind me because on the topic of Pokemon still, a lot of people defend Gen 1, but I don't like Gen 1 designs. But I give it the benefit of the doubt because it's Gen 1. They're being experimental. They're trying to figure out what designs actually to use. So it's understandable if you have a Pokemon that's literally a fox or literally a blue turtle or, you know, literally just a big yellow duck with a migraine. But yeah, nostalgia's a heck of a drug. Going back to the link cable thing though, it opened my eyes to the potential for adapters and stuff. And so I asked my mother, I was like, what else is there that you could use? Because I really like Pokemon and I want to do more for it. And so for Christmas, yeah, Christmas one day, she hands both me and my sister each our own e-readers, which if you remember what that is, it's an adapter for the GBA that lets you scan cards and unlock content for Game Boy Advance games, including Fire Red and Leaf Green, and then Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. And the ones that I got were for... Was it for Fire and Leaf Green? I don't know. It was for some Pokemon thing, but there were a couple that I got. There were Pokemon-themed ones with mini-games. There was NES Classics, where you could scan the card in and then get a little bit of a playtime for a classic NES game. There were two that I remember. One of them being... Oh, Christ, I hate this level. The two that I remember specifically are the original Mario Bros. So the one where you bump the turtles from the bottom of the stage. Wow, I am already out of range. This is a problem. And the second one was a game called Clue Clue Land. You had to swing around poles to collect objects, I think. I don't remember. But yeah, it was those. And the other one I remember, which was by far the coolest one, were content packs for the GBA remake. I say remake, it's more like a remaster-ish thing of Mario 3. And it was so cool because they had level packs that you could play that was part of its own unique environment. And I think you could also scan in power-ups like the flute or like the raccoon suit and stuff like that, and like the frog suit. And the e-reader ended up... I cannot go that way. Ended up being like my absolute favorite part of the GBA. And then I lost my cards because I was a dumb kid who couldn't hold on to his stuff. So, yeah, stuff was pretty cool. I just wish that I had the Game Boy Player connector for the Game Boy, not Game Boy, the GameCube, because that would have allowed me to link up Sonic Adventure DX on the GameCube with the Tiny Chow Garden on Sonic Advance, and let me get the unique Chow, like the Tails Chow and the Amy Chow. That would have been so cool. And then get them in Sonic Adventure DX. God, I was so reckless. Oh, shoot. I was reckless there, too. Yeah, I was reckless with the Chow raising. Shoot. In Sonic DX. We had too many. We had so many that we couldn't keep track of all their needs. And then when two of them died... Well, I say died. Canonically, they run away. But, they sure as heck disappear with sad music when they run away, quote-unquote. Wow, that is a diabolical spike placement. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, we had too many Chow, and it was depressing to see them run. So we never visited the Chow Garden again, and they live on in our memories. And then when we got Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, we were like, we'll do this more carefully. We will not have more than 4 Chow in a single garden, and things are fine from there. I really wish I had the first Phantasy Star on GameCube, because that also had promotional Chow material. I think that's actually how you got the character chow for Sonic Adventure or Sonic DX. Was it Act 2 that was miserable? What? Huh? Okay, I'm confused. Oh, that's why. Completely forgot about that too. God, I wish I could have played Phantasy Star. I wish I could play Blue Burst and all of the DLC for the original Phantasy Star. I don't care how old it is. Like, I know you can emulate it, but I legit want a modern, like, remaster of it. Or at least just, like, a high texture quality, like, version that I could play on, like, PC. Wow, that's a tiny projectile. Huh. Weird. Okay, they're just coming out of the woodwork now. So Sonic 06. Sonic 06 is like going into the territory of the Xbox days that I went through. And I agree that it was something I looked forward to for a very long time. As like it being a very cool thing. Did I play any of the Final Fantasy remakes for GBA? I played, not entirely all the way through, I played a remake that my friend let me borrow for a bit of, I think it was the first one. I'm not sure. I didn't complete Final Fantasy 1, like, ever, but I played a lot of a remake of it. I don't know. I know my sister had a remake of Final Fantasy IV for DS that she got soft locked out of when she got to the Octomammoth. But yeah, I played a remake of the first one somewhere. I want to believe it was GBA, but I simply just don't know. I'm being very careful with the air bubbles here, even if it wastes the invincible. And I couldn't get past Garland because I stupidly decided it would be a genius idea to not grind at all and not like focus on getting magic for the white mage. I played a little bit of the Pixel remaster for PC though. No, it's okay. I do like Final Fantasy, like the classic ones, and I do want to get around to finally finishing Final Fantasy VI. I did want to play Final Fantasy V though, because I think I heard something about a job change mechanic, which sounds pretty cool. That's a weird jump. But yeah, Sonic 06, it was touted as like the edgy, like super cool, like definitive Sonic game to be coming out in that time period. Is there a switch somewhere? And so I was like, yeah, Sonic 06, or yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh, there's the switch. Why would you do that? Why would you hide it? And I too was blinded by like hype, but as a consumer, how could you not be? You know? And it was awful. It was terrible. It was miserable. It could have been worse, but it was still really, really bad. And then I played Sonic Unleashed, and I was like, I don't got a good feeling about this. But this specifically, I gotta specify, I didn't play the full game as of yet. I played the demo. And in the demo, you have access to the daytime version of the the second level. And it was so much fun. Like, just doing a mad dash through that place. It was, like, so different. You suck! And it was so... It was, like, it immediately became like my favorite Sonic game, like for a while. Eventually, I had reconsidered which games I actually like. Shoot. These tricksy platforms is... and I spent so much time like speed running the demo, like the demo level, trying to be like, okay, well, how fast can I do this? Because like it's the only level I could play in the demo. And it was so good. And then we rented the full game from Gamefly. That's a name. And we were like, yeah, this is awesome. This is great. This is the best Sonic game for now. And then like I played the actual game, and then like the Werehog levels were fine. It was basically like playing Knuckles in Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, but like different and with weird parkour-ish moments that were really slow. I liked the upgrade system for Unleashed, but the... Shoot. This is why I hate this level set, because if you don't jump at the right moment, you're basically looping. Oi! There we go. And this is basically Sonic's equivalent of the Bowser's Castle levels in the original Super Mario Bros. Come on. Oh, okay. There we go. And the Werehog levels were not the best, but they weren't as bad as I like remember. I think the only part I hated about them were the fact that the battle theme was the same and it never changed. But honestly, screw Eggman Land. I don't like that level at all. It is extremely long. It has you moving between night and daytime, so you had to play both like the speed form and like daytime Sonic and Werehog, and it sucked. Oh, see, this is how you know it's genuine, is when there's like Genesis era slowdown. Yeah, no, this is from Genesis Classics, so it is pretty faithful, even if it's a bit annoying. But yeah, Sonic Unleashed, for me, did what Sonic 06 could have done. And now Sonic Frontiers is doing what Sonic 06 could have done. Please spawn. Thank you. I'm gonna have to tone down my voice a bit as it gets later on in the night. The others are heading to bed. But yeah. Oop. Shoot, the bubbles despawned. Okay, I'm gonna need you to not do that. Thank you. Yeah. So, I wish, and a lot of people are already working towards a Sonic 06 remake. I mean, if you look at Sonic P06, I think it's called, then you'd see that. But honestly, as nice as fan games are, an official one would be so great. Oh wow. Final Fantasy is a very good game to have when you're trying to pass the time. I mean, it sounds obvious when I bring it up, considering all games are time wasters by nature, but Final Fantasy is definitely a good example of one. Just simply for the fact that all the time investment that you can put... Okay, I need another bubble because the spring is being uncooperative. Yeah, all the time investment you can put in for, like, not only progressing the narrative, but also trying to, like, build your characters right so you don't get murked. And then spend all your time traveling from one region to the next. Okay, I'm gonna need to, like, jump like this. There we go. Why? Okay, that was weird physics. I can't do that jump normally. No, I'm hopping between subjects. I actually haven't really played very many Final Fantasy titles, like, to full completion. Why are you forcing me to the side? I don't like that. You're artificially making me waste time by pushing me to the right. No fixed classes. You can make any job, but you have to train them as that job. So basically, you know, not to be reductionist regarding recent releases in comparison, but that kind of reminds me of how 14 is handling its jobs, where you could pick one. Okay, that is intentionally pushing me to the side. I'm gonna have to be very precise. More precise than I'd like. Nice. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a playthrough of 5 again. I probably wouldn't stream it because it would probably be very long, and I'm not exactly very good about doing series these days. You know, well, with everything being experimental nowadays. Okay. Ah, god dang it. See, if I had access to the spin dash, then... Wait, I have a genius idea. Yeah, shut up. with your anxiety music. What if I... Oh, I should have jumped then. Yeah. I can't do a full playthrough of Final Fantasy on this channel. The music will probably get copywritten anyway. Or copyright stricken, rather. Ah, well, shoot. Do not lose that. Thank you. I'm gonna be honest, this is like an embarrassing display, and not even because of the tangents. Like, this part genuinely sucks. Please don't hit me, you hit me. You... Okay. This guy needs to die. Otherwise, I'm in danger. Okay, jump. This is fine. This is such an evil area! Is there like a platform that rises up from the ground or something that I could stand on and like... No? Yeah. Yeah. Final Fantasy has had some wild final boss designs. I actually think the guy... I don't remember his name. I remember he was playable in Dissidia. Like, he was in blue armor. And his whole thing was like defense and basically like mitigating as much damage as possible. Like, he basically would just walk around. Like, he wouldn't move very fast. He would just walk and have like a lot of aura. Okay, I need to make it so that way that doesn't like launch me. And like a lot of his passives did refer to him, or one of his passives at like endgame build crafting did refer to him as being a tree. So I think that's the guy. I don't remember his name. But yeah, his whole thing was basically counterattacking. Why must you be like this? Am I doing something wrong, Sega? Your blue rodent is failing a basic platforming maneuver. For what purpose? Okay, I'm gonna concentrate for a moment. Do that. Okay, so good news. I found out it is no fault on my own. It is simply an invisible barrier. Axdeath, that's his name, yes. Yeah, he was in Dissidia, but he was like a knight dude in armor. Okay, I'm gonna go this way because... Okay, there are enemies. I'm stupid. I think I was going backwards for no reason. I was going backwards for no reason. I am very dumb. Alright. I am extremely silly. The water's not coming back down, though. And I think it has something to do with this button. Please, I'm drowning. Monsieur Water, I'm in need of oxygen. Rodents do not have gills. Also, I have no rings, so I need to be extra careful. I got lost in the sauce. That'd be a funny clip. Just fast forward for like 10... That wasn't 10 minutes, that was like 5 minutes. Oh shoot, I am running low on time though. Oh, thank God there's something that can help me. Oh, this piece of garbage. Okay. It is now time to lock in. Right. Oh, shoot, the water. The water's still going, the water is still going. Well, because this man is looping. Alright, there's a strat to follow, I know it. Oh, that was my first death, I think. Nice. There are no rings. Oh no. Lord have mercy. Come back. Please come back. Please come back. Thank you. No. No. Wait, it keeps the time? Oh no. Huh. Weird. Do I main Sonic on Smash? I did in Brawl. And not even Project M, like just regular Brawl in general. Shoot. No. In Smash, I main Zelda. Specifically Smash Ultimate. In Smash 4, I had swapped between... Who did I main? I swapped between Marth and Zelda. In Project M, I mained, Wolf. And then in Melee, wow, this is rough to do without any rings. I forgot, did I get to continue? Wow, wouldn't it be embarrassing if I... if I lost it all here? In Melee... I think I was pretty vanilla in Melee and mained Mario. Although I will say... Super wave dashing with Samus is very fun. I used to know someone who really loved competitive Smash. Oh, that's a story. I'll tell that story after I'm finished crushing this chump's skull. Just, need to evade the spikes. I need to time those. Okay. Huh. So, it's 8 hits to kill. I was trying to break into Melee long ago, but I gave up and started trying to break into Ultimate and Smash 4. But I gave up on the idea of Smash 4 because For Glory got me very depressed. And then paying to, like, enter tournaments, as normal as that is, also got me depressed because I was still job hunting at the time. And then my venue, like, I couldn't reach on my own because it was, like, way too far and I couldn't drive. I had a friend who drove me there, like, once, and it was pretty cool. We played, I entered a Smash 4 bracket, and then I entered a, Project M bracket. I won my first Project M, god dang it, it's the spikes. I won my Project M match, my first one, and then I lost to, a guy, what was his name? I don't remember his name, but he was the brother of a popular dude. I don't remember his name. He was popular for doing PM. He mained Bowser. Oh yeah, I mained a lot of Bowser early on in Ultimate before I swapped over to Zelda. Alright, one... I thought he was supposed to have hit stop. Okay. There has to be like an optimal way to like traverse. I can't jump that. I wonder, if I let the water go, will that work to my benefit or detriment? I guess we're about to find out. Okay, this is water. Why is fire happening? I'm dead. I'm basically dead. I'm half tempted to make a save state, but I will give it a bit before I stoop to that. Because I'm not trying to cheese here. But then again, this is like a non-committal experimental stream anyway. I just wish I had some rings. Like, that would be nice. But yeah, won the first PM match, lost the second, and then for the Smash 4 tourney match, I lost that first one, and I was just, while I was waiting for my friend to finish his bracket matches, I just played like friendlies and started winning those, but no cigar for the rest. That was dumb. Alright, I did have a continue. It'll start me at the beginning, probably. Okay, it will. That's good, because that means I can be extra careful and not get lost in the sauce. I'll go on the Smash tangent while I'm getting back to that part I was at. So, Smash in my region was obviously like, wasn't like the big thing. Like, I wasn't in any of the regions that had, at least at the time, I wasn't in any of the local regions that, thank you, had like rivalries, but I did hear about the whole thing about it, where it's like, oh, people in like Europe and people all across Europe and people all across like East Asia and even the US had like their regional rivalries, and then like all the different tournaments that would have like cross-region like attendance was pretty nice. And I am out of rings, which is not nice. Oh, thank God that didn't kill me. Yeah, and so I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool, this is a pretty cool community to have, like, to be in. But, I wanted to, like, prep myself. Wow! That sucks. Yeah, I wanted to prep myself, like, skill-wise before I, like, actually gave it a shot. So I would just play Smash 4 and be like, on for glory. Come to find out that was a mistake. Wow, these guys are like moonwalking. And pretty much, forgot that first try. I tortured myself with For Glory because it's online. And I didn't have an Ethernet connector for the Wii U. Honestly speaking, I don't even know if they had one. But, yeah. I was like, oh, well, I'll do this thing. This stage is unique. This stage is full of, like, loops and traps and drowning. Lots and lots of drowning. It is so bad to the point where I had actually, in order to, early on at least, in order to get around it, I had memorized how long it takes to start drowning in seconds, and it is 18, I believe. Just so I could, like, time things right. This was, like, long ago. But it's frustrating, but I'm not, like, nearly as angry as I was when I was playing Destiny last stream. It's just confusing, because, like, of all stages, this is, like, the worst, save from like Scrap Brain 3, I think it was. I don't know. Also Metropolis 3 in Sonic 2. I could never get past it. Like, that's legit as far as I've ever gone in Sonic 2. Blinks was so funny. I do not regret doing that because Blinks was one of the games I played as a kid. And I did not know how far I personally got. We had a lot of games that I legit thought I beat. But no, it was my father who beat those. Like, he got far, he beat those games. And I legit thought it was me, and I was like, huh, I did this. Why is it having me go up here? There's nothing up here. Most peculiar. So, yeah, I don't regret doing Blinks, because it was a fun nostalgia trip, even if it was very buggy. I don't mind if bugs happen in games, because it's very memorable. Oi, 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 oi. Let's not do that. But yeah, for Smash, I actually had a very funny moment. Yeah, Robotnik is the biggest hater. I actually saw him again, by the way. He was like not happy to see me, but he just didn't bother me afterward. I blocked him anyway, but he just didn't bother. But I remember when I was on my way, like, we were going to go to a Smash tourney, like, with myself and a friend. And it's the same friend that drove me to my first tourney. And he even, like, footed the payment for our entry. Like, it was just $5 to entry for myself and, like, each person. So it was myself, my sister, and then him. So it was like $15 total. It was literally nothing at all for, like, entry fees. Shoot. But this trip specifically was to a friend's place, because it had been the first time I had seen her in, like, actual plural years. And she had gotten married. And so it was her birthday, and oh, this is interesting. I don't remember going to this part of the level. And so we were there, we were hanging out, we were congratulating her, and this guy... You want to talk about a cringe Sonic fan? This guy was like one of the Sonic fans of all time, because he made it a habit to not only draw Sonic characters almost every week, and very well, mind you, but he had his own OC. He would draw that OC in various bits of art with, specifically with Espio, who was his favorite character. So I'm just like, okay. And then, like, he played a lot of Melee as well. And my friend was a big Melee head, you know. And... Actually, no, he didn't play Melee. He played a lot of Brawl. And not Project M, just base Brawl, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Brawl exists for a reason, right? Alright. And so we get to this place, and this guy, who's my old friend's brand new husband, was like, oh yeah, you know, let's play Smash. Wow, that dropped me very far. Let's play Smash, you know, let's play Brawl. So we're like, oh yeah, sure, why not? And he says he's heard of tournaments. He said he's aware of, like, rules and stuff. And guess what he says? That, like, tips us off immediately. I'm gonna die here. Wait, he waits for you. Okay, that's an interesting development. Okay, I'm gonna be cheap, and I'm going to do a silly thing. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna do a save state. So give me just a moment. Boop. Yes, I know it's lame. No, I do not care. I'm not trying to speedrun or like make this a full-on playthrough. Whatever. We're just chilling. So, yeah. Guess what he says. Of all things he could say, take a wild guess as to like what he could possibly say to tell you that he does not play tournaments. I'll give you like 15 seconds. There's a stream delay on my end, but no pressure, but like it's a very like obvious thing. I'll give you a hint. It's something tournament players would not do. Shoot, I died again. This is the part where I load. How do I... Slot 1, slot 2... How do I load? Oh, just do that. I'm sure there's like a hotkey for it. Anyway, so he says, "Yeah, let's play Brawl. I'm a mean menace with a beam sword." And then we both look at each other and like we silently tell each other, "Oh, this poor sweet summer child." And obviously, like, you know, he's a full-grown man. He's like old enough to get married and whatnot. So we're like, this man has never touched tournament rules, not in the slightest. So that's when he tells us. I gotta find the key really quick. I gotta see if there's a hotkey. That's when there isn't a hotkey for on controller. Oh well. So yeah. That's when we were told he does not play tournaments and he plays with items. And we were like, this is not going to be a serious thing. This is going to be a super casual thing. Yeah, he mostly stayed offline. He was aware that there were unique tournament rules, but he did not want to do. He was open to it. He was open to doing no items on Project M because, shoot, Project M, that's the default, you know, it's like items are off by default, but you can turn them on if you want. And so when we played, it was like all items on, and he had a friend there who we didn't know, but we met, and who was a cool guy, but he also was only aware of, like, you know, casual play. And so we just played it casually, you know. No ruffled feathers or anything like that. This stage is getting a little weird. Well, I said getting a little weird. It is a little weird. Yeah, they were just basically untouched from the whole whoops. Alright, new vote. If this becomes too much of a death loop, then we are going to swap over to Sonic 2, and I will rename the stream to Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. Or do Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine? Probably. How long have I been going for, actually? Huh. An hour, 17 minutes. I could go for longer. Alright, I will give this one more attempt, and then we'll do either Sonic 2 or Mean Bean Machine, because I'm in the puzzle game mindset all of a sudden. So yeah, he was untouched by the woes of competitive play. Not again. That didn't count, because I was being dumb. He was untouched. He basically was a sweet summer child who didn't know how these things worked, and honestly, good for him, because I'm not gonna let that happen again. Because, like, when you get used to the mindset of, like, diminishing the game because no one wants items, like, it's not a problem, but it does, like, change you from the game you love to, like, the game everyone optimizes. It's a mindset that I keep in mind all the time, being function over form, or, like, form over fun. No, not form over fun. Fun over function, or function over fun. That's what I was trying to get at. It's something I constantly think of in games like Warframe, for example, or Destiny. It's why I'm as much of a contrarian as I am when it comes to, like, metas. Everyone else is using, like, hand cannons and shotguns in Destiny, and here I am running glaives and running the healing auto because no one else wants to heal, and I like playing the healer, you know, unlike most people. But rip. Oh well. I'll actually save this slot anyway, just so I can have it. Alright, Mean Bean Machine it is. I wonder if I can actually retitle this stream on the dashboard. Give me just a moment while I do that. Sonic 1 plus Mean Bean Machine. Save. Alrighty, title is updated. Please refresh to see the updated title. Why did I say it like that? This isn't customer service. Oh boy, do I have customer service horror stories. But I'm debating whether or not I should save that for another time. Where is it? I did not pass it. Gunstar Heroes is very fun. There we go. New game. Oh, I should also update that little text at the bottom. Now playing... Doctor... I type so slowly, I'm sorry. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Getting little text on the screen. Why does it speed up like that? Alright. What was I saying? I talked a little bit about customer service being a nightmare. Were there any options I needed to set? I'll keep it on normal. Why not? Yeah, boy. I lost my train of thought. Or maybe that was the train of thought. Something customer. Yeah, I think that was the train of thought. That is a horror story for itself. I do not like working customer service. I really don't. It's a trap. My mother said it's a trap and does not want me to, like, fall into it. Did you play this game? Yes, I did, actually. Not the original Genesis version, though. I played this on... what's it? Sonic Mega Collection on the GameCube. And it was fun. I wish there were more videos on it, though, because the audio quality is actually way better for that one. This is basically a reskin of a game called Puyo Puyo. which is a silly name, but I love that game too. It's really nice. I do not want to work customer service again. I'm gonna have to, like, if I want to actually, like, get muns, because I am pigeonholed into that with my skill set and whatnot. I'm not exactly enough of an artist or a voice actor to actually break into those specific roles. But needs must. Yeehaw! Man's hitting me with the old yeehaw. Ooh, I can do something funny here. Yippee! I could probably do another funny. Yes, I can. It has the not only does it have the original graphics, but the credits theme is the same as this version as well. Yeah, that one. I could finish him off with another funny, but he's already dead. I may as well tell some customer service horror stories. Seems like a blast. And plus I needed an excuse to talk about them for a YouTube short or whatever. So, I suppose I have to preface this by saying I can't go into too much detail, because in customer service they make you sign NDAs for whatever client you're working for. So let's say, for example, if you were doing customer service for, say... what's a good one to say? I don't know, McDonald's, whatever. Or Bell Wireless, to name a recent thing I had to talk about. Just some examples. I can do a funny, probably. No, I can't. Rip. Yeah, you can't talk about to other people exactly who you worked for. Some NDAs expire after, like, ridiculous amount of years, but the ones that I had to sign are still ongoing, so I can't say exactly who I worked for or what their internal processes are, like, in great detail. Which sucks, because these horror stories are comedy silver. But I can be at least generic about them, like, as far as, like, how they went. So, my last 3 customer service jobs were, well, 2 were relevant to healthcare in some way, and the last one, the latest one, was a bit of IT, if you would, for devices. And I can't be more specific than what devices. Yeah. Anyway, we've already established that. People love to be possessive over their devices when they're luxury devices. More so than you would expect from people who would have, like, a possessive behavior over non-luxury things. Why did I do that? That's so bad. Ugh. It's ironic to have people, like, be very possessive over non-luxury or over luxury things compared to non. But I've seen it happen, and it's weird. Like, I've seen people beg me to remove features that are hard-coded into their devices because they don't like the way it works. Like, what's the best way to describe this? Like, imagine a feature that does one thing, but the way that it's called, like the way the feature is named, you assume it does something else, and that rubs you the wrong way. And you're in your rights to be skeptical about it, and as a result, you're in your rights to request it be disabled. And so, if you ask the customer service rep to teach you how to disable that thing, you know, you should, like, listen to the rep. But this person didn't just listen to me. They were like, I don't just... Oh, that's a triple. They were not just satisfied with it being disabled. They wanted it gone. Like, hard-coded gone. She was like, I want it out. I don't want it just gone. I want it out. And so I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am, but you can't remove a software service that is hard-coded into the device. For that, the actual device manufacturer would need to manually remove this. That was stupid. Why did I do that? It was saved. And then she just kept repeating herself, I want it out. I want it out. I don't care what you say. I want it out. And per protocol, if there's no agreement, you have to escalate to a supervisor. And guess what happens when you get someone to a supervisor when the issue cannot be resolved by someone who doesn't even work for the device manufacturer? Same old, same old. They're going to end up telling you the same thing because we don't have the magic tools capability. Was this a boomer or was this a person who should have known better? I don't know. If I were to judge by the voice alone, I would assume it would be close to like an older customer. But that's usually how it goes with this tech anyway. And that's not even like a slight against the elderly or even just older customers in general. Like, that's just how it goes. Not everyone's going to really know how tech works, and we're trained to be understanding and patient, you know? So it's like, I bungled the combo. So I was like, you know, it's be patient, be understanding, because you're going to find people like this. Oh, I got a double anyway. Nice. So I was being patient. Like, she wasn't being reasonable. Oh, she thought she was being reasonable. I thought I was being reasonable. There are no sides in customer service. But regardless of such, yeah. This is something like eventually you'd know better. But maybe that was the defining moment that told her that this isn't possible? I don't know. I'm not trying to be a prude about it, but maybe that could have been the moment that taught her, you know? You can't just delete a function just because you don't like the way it works. You can turn it off, but you can't take it out unless you're a hacker. That's actually high praise, because this is not something I have to, like, not be rattled on. But customer service does change you, you know? It makes you, like, more understanding about how things work for, like, the human psyche and how things are presented to you. But when you're trying to have fun, like, it is easier to get upset. You know? I mean, I honestly wouldn't condone breaking stuff, but it's a normal human response. But yeah, customer service changes a person, for better and for worse. They train you to be understanding. They train you to be reasonable. And that's what you need to get the job done. Because most people think of customer service as like a point of contact for just getting stuff done. I'm probably gonna lose. Because this one, in particular, is tough. Yeah, it makes you almost like a robot. And I've been accused of being an AI on multiple of my calls, which is alarming. You know, if I ever set up monetization on this channel, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a donation goal of some kind, or like a donation redeem, to like have a customer service voice for like 15 minutes or like 30 minutes. I think that would be kind of funny, but also a bit grating. Just like have the TikTok voice. That'd be kind of hilarious to me. I'm gonna have to get into customer service mode if I were to like channel that right now though. I've lost. Let's see. I actually need a drink of water. Hold on. Gotta get to this part so I can pause. Yeah, they make you very robotic because that's how it has to be. And it's sad that that's how it has to be. I think it's actually shaped how my cadence of speech and like my method of speaking is. Because like unscripted, I pretty much suck at speaking. You know, if you were to look at my previous reaction, like my first ever reaction video to something, like blind reaction, it was to that Wrath of Math thing. I had very disorganized thoughts because it was unscripted. And when I was telling stories from my past, from like customer service, I kind of bungled my words quite frequently. But of course now I've like fine-tuned my brain into the idea of like thinking before I speak and like a bit more carefully enunciating the words before they spew out. Hold on, let me take a bit of a sip. I am writing lore for a re-debut thing, so maybe I could utilize that as like context for this. Let me think for a moment on what subject matter to use. Oh, thank you. I mean, I've been yapping non-stop tonight, but maybe I could use this game as a basis, like how to score properly. That sounds like a euphemism. That sounds like a Beavis and Butthead level euphemism. Hey, I'm trying to score. And Puyo Puyo. Oh, sorry. Dr. Robotnik's mean bean machine, and having a bit of difficulty trying to do it. Wait, no, how do they do the laugh? Shoot. Yeah, trying to score. Can't line out the beans. Hey, customer service guy, I'm trying to score. But I can't line up the beans, right? That's so bad. Oh, that's such cringe. Have I considered voice acting? Yes, absolutely. In fact, I've applied to so many different voice acting jobs during my time in customer service, and I haven't been given a response. I've done regular acting in the form of background and one pilot episode for a television show, and I've never seen the pilot episode, so I don't even know when I show up or where. Which makes me sad. Yeah, I really do want to get into voice acting. What was I doing? Oh yeah, the customer service scenario. Alright, let's think. Hello and thank you for calling Kamosa's Professional Gameplay Tips. My name is Kamosa. How may I help you today? Yeah, I'm trying to score in this game called Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. I can't line up the beans right. Yeah, trying to score, but beans ain't lining up properly. Okay, I can see you're having trouble with lining up the beans in Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Yes, I can definitely help you out with that. What specifically is causing you trouble? Are there any specific enemies that you're, you know, having trouble with? If you say a lot or have a lot of pauses, they will get you on that for your QA score. So don't do that if you do customer service. Yeah, I'm on stage 3. It's the frog-looking guy with the lightning antennas. It looks like he can't score, but he's actually scoring a lot, and I should be the one scoring. Okay, not a problem. Stage 3? I'm sorry I cannot remember the name of that enemy, but that's totally okay. I can definitely help you figure out how to score a pretty high score in this particular stage. Firstly, what you would need to do is line up the beans 2 at a time. Specifically, you would need to line them up 2 by 2 by 2, as best as RNG will allow, so that way you could set up for a high score that will chain into one another. Effectively, you want to prevent them from getting chained as well by doing this. The garbage puyos that drop from the ceiling will prevent them from causing combos on you. This will also cause you to drop more garbage on them, granting you a higher score and causing you to win the stage. Do they grade you by time spent on the call? Yes. They always do that. That is average handle time, and that is a baseline mechanic. Mechanic? This isn't a game. That's a baseline metric they grade you on. Average handle time varies by subject matter. In IT, from what I've done, they like really wanted you to handle it anywhere between, well, actually, they were kind of generous with it now that I remember. They graded you by time spent, but also like complexity. So like they were lenient if the subject was too hard, but most of the time they were like, yeah, you need to do this within 5 minutes to 15. If it takes you longer, you know, if it's a problem that's like a big problem, that's fine, but it will go against you. But usually in IT, like depending on where you are, like if it's like forward facing, like baseline grunt level, like, oh, this end user cannot do the funny thing because the funny device is being funny, for lack of better descriptors for that, then yeah, they'll like not really put you at fault too much for that, but they will still hold you accountable for if you either deliberately take too long or if like it could have been solved faster even if you accidentally took too long, if that makes sense. Like basically you could stall, which is call avoidance technically, but yeah. Percentage of my time on IT was convincing a customer to turn the computer on and off. A lot. Even though my thing, oh, god dang it, it got blocked. My thing was not the computers specifically. But yes, turning the device off and on was a thing I did have to advise at times, and it did help more than you'd expect. But usually that's not the end of it, because we have to mark down that not only did that cause the problem to cease, but we need to still go to the root problem as to why it happened in the first place, which is always good practice to go through. You don't want to just be okay with something just handling itself. You know, I bungled it. Whoops. Now I'm going to have to undo this. Never mind, I can't undo this. Whoops. Oh, I could do this. I can still... Oh, no, never mind. It's bungled. It's completely and entirely gone. Yeah, turning on and off. Even if it's not a computer, even if it's either a smart device or a personal health device, or why did I do this? What is wrong with me? Oh, I could do something even funnier. Yippee! Yeah, whether it's a cellular device or a personal health device, or just in general, literally anything, like turning it off and on, while it does help and while it is more common than you'd expect, we still have to like do a root cause kind of thing where it's like, well, why did this happen in the first place? And a lot of times we don't get to that root cause because either the device is too old or it's outdated and we can't even contact the original vendor for like help with that. So weirdo stuff. So there was that horror story. My average handle time was terrible in that specific line of business because for those specific devices, people took forever to do the thing. I don't blame them for it though. it does happen in IT. Like, if there's one thing I've noticed, and again, this isn't like any top end level IT or anything like that. It's just baseline forward facing. You're the first person the customer calls type of IT because they want help. Like, taking like an hour or something to fix something while it's less than ideal is surprisingly common. It shouldn't be that way, and the original vendors really don't want you to take that long for obvious reasons, but it's common. And that happened with my last call before I lost that specific job. It took like an hour or so, like an hour and 15 minutes before I managed to get that thing done. Granted, I was cleaning up the mess of previous agents that couldn't do things right before me because they were confused. And I was confused and I needed help, but I got help, so things are fine. And I messed that up. Oh, godsend. Godsend. Let's go. Alright, I gotta play my cards right here on this one. If I don't, then we're dead. Okay. Yeah. It takes long, but the ones that I had before then were definitely like very specific on how long your average handle time was. For my first and second ones, it was 5 minutes. Yippee! Yeah. No, why did I do that? Well, that's a mistake. That was also a mistake. Oh no. I am in a lot of danger again. Now I must become the danger. Never mind. I am screwed. I am very screwed. I am very screwed. It's over. Yeah. Average handle time for the first two was like 5 minutes tops. Those were the health related ones. The first one was health specifically. And the second one was work benefits, which included health, but wasn't exclusively health. We're talking travel, so commute. It was... what else? A little bit of wellness benefits too, which is nice. It's nice to have wellness benefits. It was mostly claims, specifically figuring out why claims were denied for things for the second one. The first one was... I'm trying to like word things carefully so I don't like break it into... I know I'm not pressed to do so, but I want to talk about it. I'm just like sloshing around the thought in my head so I can like word it properly. Let's just say, because I can talk about the service it was relevant to, just not the company or the company's internal procedures. It was relevant to Medicare, so you already know it's an American thing. Not Medicaid, mind you, Medicare specifically. So that job was majority dealing with the elderly. And they are lovely, but they are like the most double-edged sword of a customer you will ever find, I've noticed. Because on the one end, they could be very sweet and understanding and patient. But on the other hand, they could be very serious. Can you imagine if, like, that kind of vendetta stretched? Can you imagine if, like, they tracked me from a bad interaction from work? That never happens because these workplaces are very good about protecting their employees. But man, I've had so many customers who are dissatisfied with previous interactions with other customers that wanted my name, my first and last name, my address, like my zip code, who I work for, the name of like the company I work for. And it's like, dude, just, you're not gonna like get anywhere just because you're getting someone's details. It's not gonna do anything. The worst that'll happen is I'll get reprimanded, and that's it. Like, there's a baseline level of accountability that's always into play. That's like just there, you know? So you don't have to like get my details. You don't have to get me to dox myself just because you want your problem fixed with expedience because someone from past interactions doesn't know how to help you. But no, people have tried, and I don't want to say that I blame them for trying, but like, I'm not going to sit here and excuse it, you know? There is a saying, the customer is always right, and I hate that saying so much because there have been customers who are wrong. There have been customers who are like, you know, either misremembering a detail from whatever it is service that they've spoken to before, or maybe there was just an error, that like user error, which is real. I don't know. I don't ever want to just blindly say the customer is always right. I'd rather say the customer is usually right. You know? Because that means, obviously, they're trying to call you to get their problem solved. So why not, like, give them the benefit of the doubt? But when you start seeing the cracks form in, like, what they're telling you, or, like, whatever you're trying to resolve, then you gotta start asking the probing questions. Oh, God. Nah, they wouldn't have appreciated that, for sure. Although I would like to request, moving forward, not to joke about the Gouda thing, because I talked to my sister about it, and it does kind of feel in poor taste, given the stress that Gouda's went through her streaming career. It's funny of a joke as it is. Just moving forward, try to not really do the streamer jokes. Wouldn't want to get in hot water with not only their respective communities, but also just have weird context. Not getting at you or anything, though, because it was funny when you first said it. Especially now that I'm doing this experimental chat box thing, someone might dredge it up in a future stream, if I ever do get, like, further ahead. And they'll be like, oh my god, he wants to replace her. I'm just like, no, don't do that. No, it'll save both of our skins. Now you know who I do want to replace? The person who I once was. Because let me tell you, I was a cringe kid in the past. And there's a saying that people do say nowadays that I also am kind of iffy about. They say, if you're cringe, you're free. And I agree, but I don't want to blindly agree with it, because I've had some cringe in the past that I don't want to fall back to, that I'm going to talk about, because if I don't talk about it somewhere, then it's going to like haunt me. And this will be a clippable moment. Wow, I am just not paying attention. I may lower the difficulty to easy, play on Babby mode. Yeah, I'll lower the difficulty. A voice like I can't voice SpongeBob. I wish I could, so I could annoy the heck out of people. I can voice Patrick. I used to be able to voice Squidward. Oh, I forgot to turn the... Hold on, I forgot to turn the difficulty down to Babby mode. No, I can only voice Patrick. I'm not in voice actor mode, though. I'd have to mentally prep for that after I get my story out of that. It was in options. So yeah, my past cringe actually circles back to our earlier conversation about, what was it? Sonic cringe. And being a cringe child. So... I gotta, like, enunciate this story properly. I did play a bit of Sonic earlier. I swapped gears to this specific game, because I was having a bit of difficulty with Labyrinth Zone Act 3. Let's see. Yeah, Labyrinth Zone Act 3 was a bit difficult. So, my past cringe. My past cringe is neither admirable nor sophisticated. Yeah. I got drowned by Robotnik, so now I'm playing his video game to appease him. So, let's see, where do I begin this story? I need to enunciate the story properly so I can make a YouTube short out of it, because it is comedy silver, like genuine. It was back in middle school. I think it was. Yeah. Back in middle school, specifically the 6th grade. Would that be primary or secondary school? I don't know, or care. So, show of hands, who remembers Captain Underpants, back when it was a book? That was a huge influence for my past cringe. You want to talk about being a cringe Sonic fan back in the day? I was a big Sonic fan of the cringe variety, and it stretched to the idea of making Sonic-themed comic books as a child. Because I read Captain Underpants. Those were plotline centered around comic books. Those kids made comics. They spread those comics around their school campus, and their principal got upset. And the principal gets brainwashed into the titular character, Captain Underpants. So, pretty much, I saw the idea of not only making comic books, but distributing them among friends to be a genius idea. So, I decided, I'm going to make comic books. But what am I going to make? I'll make Sonic comic books. Now, here's the thing. I didn't make comic books themed off of Sonic specifically, nor any of the actual, regular Sonic characters or the plot from any of the games. Oh no. When I was a kid, I made these stories based off of the Chow. They were adventures of these Chow from the garden. And the idea was they'd fight, they'd go on adventures, they'd get into shenanigans, and so on and so forth. And it is very cringe and very embarrassing, and it was the only subject matter I would do before I got older, and then I realized, wow, this is cringe. And then after, when I know I mentioned earlier that when I played Sonic Adventure DX, my Chow would start dying because I was irresponsible. I kind of wanted to break away from that because they were canonically dying on my save file. So I figured, oh, well, they'll canonically, make their lethal exit from the canon. So that's where part of my cringe was. And then it gets worse. Because I moved my comics from the Chow comics to a completely original series. And I still have some of the copies that I had written as a kid that I could share on stream one day. Like, I could take scans of and share. What was the name of them? I made a lot of these. I made a lot of issues of this. It was called The Adventures of Shine and Night. And the idea was there was two brothers. A brother themed off of the sun and a brother themed off of the moon. Oh god, you're talking about the Sonichuga. Didn't he... Oh right, he went through a transition of sorts and became Christine. He was Christian Weston Chandler, who became Christine. But yeah, the Sonichu thing, I'm well aware of the whole shenanigan that happened with her. So, yes, it could have been worse. It could have been way worse. I'm glad it didn't escalate. So, this comic specifically, Shine and Night, it was two brothers, one of them themed off of the sun and one of them themed off of the moon. The plot was they had descended from the heavens with no memory of their birth and no memory of their childhood, just that they were brothers and that they had the ability to basically control, like, sunlight for shine and moonlight for night. And they had, like, some kind of cosmic destiny to save the world when it was in need. And the country they landed in was divided into 3 warring territories. One of them, which was more Eastern Oriental style. One of them that was highly technical and had like a lot of robots and androids and stuff like that. And then we had one that was like a military zone that served as like a battleground between the 3, where basically any wars that would happen were designated specifically to that area. And the plot would take place in the Oriental Zone because the person who would find them is a mechanical, like a clockwork wizard who would raise them as his own sons. And now, this story does not make sense in the slightest, and I wouldn't put any stock into like the plot at all. But basically, he'd teach them how to use like their respective powers because they were like prophesized saviors of the world. Blah, blah, blah. And so the brother Shine would use the sunlight to learn like flame magic and like shine the sun on things, give sunlight to crops that are in need of sunlight. And then the brother Night would do things related to moonlight, so like bringing shadow where it was needed, using ice magic and bringing rain. Also for crops that needed it. I made very certain. So a lot of him watering crops in the montage. And then they'd train to fight an antagonist, which was a hooded figure, because of course it was. Come to find out, the hooded figure was an android with a television for a head who would send robots out to, like, capture people and, like, put them to work for, like, the androids or whatever, because they're flesh people. They need sustenance, not like robots who need regular robot maintenance, which doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. And it gets worse. Not much worse, but it gets worse. So, a lot of the issues I had made were basically post-training montage of the brothers fully powered and fighting the battles against the robots. Now, as a kid, I did not have very much in the way of creativity, as is often the case with kids at times. You know? So, I wanted to make a memorable enemy that people would want to read the comics for, so that way people can see it and be like, oh, this enemy's getting thwarted in this episode. You know, how awesome. The enemy design I used was the stupid dancing banana sprite from Peanut Butter Jelly Time. Because it was popular at the time. And this is giving me chest pains to talk about because it's so cringe and I hate it. So yeah. There are these very unimaginative banana androids that I jokingly referred to as banandroids back in the day that had rocket boots and laser eyes, and they would be destroyed like unceremoniously. They'd be blown up into pieces because they're like the generic mook enemy. They're not supposed to be like a thing that you want to see on screen for too long. And eventually it got boring because it was the only thing they were fighting. So then I thought, oh, I need to introduce more enemies. But how am I supposed to introduce more enemies out of nowhere? I don't want to do that. So I make an entire new storyline with completely original characters about another kid who was like, his parents were on vacation or whatever, so he had a babysitter, but his babysitter turned out to actually be like an evil spirit. And so this evil spirit guy tried possessing him to like gain a powerful body because apparently this kid had magic powers or whatever. But this kid accidentally uses his newfound magic powers to exorcise the guy, and then finds out that, you know, he was part of a bigger plot to like take over the world via poltergeists and whatever that were experiments of some kind. It doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. And then he was introduced and merged into that other story's canon, thus introducing that story's enemies into that canon. And those two stories basically became one story. And then I stopped because I took a look at it and I was like, you know what? Making comics is hard. And this story is pretty cringe. So I learned that pretty early on. And that's why those stories will never come to light again. I have some of the scans still from before, but not the original. And I don't have, like, any desire to continue them. I have other stories that I had tried making, like, way further, that are significantly less cringe in my mind, but it's just so much effort that I don't want to go through. I'm not an artist. I'm told constantly that I am an artist, but I don't feel like an artist. I haven't, like, finished a drawing in almost a year. I want to change that though, because I'm trying to draw the concept art for an actual 1.0 model that isn't a Vroid model, and it's hard. But maybe one day I'll build up the courage to do it. I have this weird brain thing that's undiagnosed, so it's not real, but well, I mean, it could be real if I actually get someone to look at it, but I have this brain thing where the amount of effort I'm willing to put into something is directly proportional to how much interest is in the thing. So I've been like trying to hammer away. Well, I'm dead. He did a full combo on me. Oh no. I guess I'll just roll over and die. I can't make it past this. Yeah. But yeah, I've got this brain thing where it's like the amount of effort I want to do, like I want to put into something, is directly proportional to how much people want to see that thing done and how much like desire the people that do want to see it done like have into that, if that makes sense. Like the more people want to see it, the more I want to do it, is effectively what I'm trying to say. And because like whenever I work on this 2.0 model, it's like no one knows what it looks like, no one knows what the canon I'm trying to do for like the lore I'm writing, you know. It's like I draw a little bit and then I'm like, yeah, I'm done, I'm finished. That's a wrap for today. And I bungled that combo already. Also, I just realized I got full comboed on or almost full comboed on easy mode. I don't know how to feel about that. I've been tempted to give like lore spoilers for the direction I did want to go in for like my channel regarding the characterization for my VTuber, but also like plot. And like just who I'm supposed to be, like from a lore standpoint. Because like I never explicitly stated anything about my character, like who he is, what he does. I had a contingency plan this entire time to just say, if anyone asks if I'm supposed to be like human or a Gajinka or whatever, I would just say I'm a human-shaped something. Because if I were to say what I'm planning to say I am, you would say, no, you're just human. I am not going to do the Catboy route, though. I absolutely refuse the animal ear anything. Not judging, but I just refuse, personally. I will not be doing that. That is not me. It is not my interest. I don't know. I mean, I do know, but I don't know when I'd even be able to make that thing happen. It was supposed to be a birthday thing, but I'm not gonna... I didn't make it in time, to be honest. My birthday month is this month, actually. But I've been debating whether or not to have a running joke on my channel to like keep my birthday secret so nobody knows. I don't know. I share very close birthdays with family. My mother's birthday was a couple days ago. So at least there's that. I actually haven't celebrated, like, in years. So maybe it wouldn't hurt if I did talk about it. I don't know, do you think it would be a good idea to do a celebration stream? Because it technically still hasn't happened yet. We are at 2 hours. I think I may finish after this boss, or maybe the next boss, depending on how long it takes. I don't know. I wrote another comic about pirates. And the only... it's kind of funny. The only inspiration... The only inspiration I had from that was from a book report I did where we had to make up a story. A Star Rail crossover would be cool, but it wouldn't be my first choice because of the 3 Hoyo games, of the 4 Hoyo games I actually played, Star Rail I played the least of. I would much rather a Zenless crossover, but I don't think they do crossovers, to be honest. That would be so cool, but that would definitely have to be a post 1.0 thing for sure. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely want to do a Zenless crossover if I got the chance. I just love the animations and combat of that game. That'd be so cool. Dang, now I really want to send this. I want to send this crossover so bad. But I'd have to, like, walk a mile to be able to do that. I actually have a funny story about Zenless. I had started playing again for the first time in ages, and I did a signal search for Seed, and obviously I didn't get her, of course, but on the last one that I did, I needed one more polychrome out of the, I think it's 150 you need, and I exhausted all of my polychrome sources, at least in that moment, so I was like, very disappointed. I could have saved it and I didn't. God dang it. I can still maybe save it. Never mind, it's donezo. It's done. Unless Nope. It's over. It's over, mate. Oh, lordy. Please. Yep. Wait. Unless... Nope. It's done. Maybe I will do a birthday celebration. The household will be relatively quiet. Well, not relatively quiet, but relatively, peaceful. I say peace. Yeah, it's not going to be relatively peaceful. It's going to be just as peaceful. Maybe a little less, but at least I won't have to worry about being as quiet throughout the day. Did I ever get to League of Legends? No. I tried and I gave up before I even gave the game a chance. I don't hate the game. I don't have anything against the game, despite all the horror stories about toxicity. I actually talked about it in my review video for the slop trailer that was the... Oh, I have a funny opportunity here. Hold on. Yeah, in the slop trailer that was the Wild Rift 3rd anniversary China trailer. God dang it, it screwed up. No! I don't know if I'm gonna do this thing. But yeah, when I did that review video for the Slop Wild Rift trailer from China, they used a lot of AI in that, and I was doing a breakdown of like what made it glaringly obvious. And I talked about it there. I was saying, oh, I tried League of Legends. I played like 5, maybe 10 minutes of Warwick after finishing the tutorial, and then just stopped playing because I didn't care enough about the game to want to continue. So that's the extent of my experience with League goes. Oh, I still got a bit of a combo off that. Not bad. Could have been better, but could have been worse. It's not going to be much of an event. I'm probably just going to pick something random to stream. Maybe I'll pick up the Yakuza stream. Or the Yakuza series, rather. And just continue from there. But I don't really have anything special to plan. I could, in theory, do karaoke. If I was any good at singing, and if I had, you know, a song I felt comfortable singing. That wasn't I Wish from Infected Mushroom, or, what's it? When You're Evil from Voltaire. Actually, I wouldn't mind doing that, but no. We'll see. That would be the day of. You know what? Yeah, I don't think I'll keep it a secret. Why not? It's actually a bit, close. It's the 27th is when my birthday is happening. I will not say the age, though, because I want to keep it a mystery. Let's just say I am old enough to drink, that is all. I may drink. Isn't Awesome Knots? I know that name. That's the name of a platformer I've played before. But maybe it did share same or similar name. I don't know. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of Psychonauts. My bad. Yeah, I have heard about Awesome Knots. Is that the one that was kind of like a board game? That was like in alpha or beta or something from Valve? Why does that sound familiar? Or am I thinking of something else? I think I'm thinking about something else. God, you know a MOBA I miss though? Like, really miss? Is Battleborn. It's like a first-person MOBA, but I miss it so much. It's so good. Ugh, man. This makes me a little sad. But sad in a Sad in a way where like I'm glad I played it, but it's unfortunate that I won't be able to play it again, is what I'm getting at. I'm not in honestly any rush to play MOBA games, because they kind of are very hit or miss for me, and they do shut down, similar to what happened with Awesome Knots. Like, I don't think Battlerite shut down. I think they do have a spin-off. There was Battleborn. What was the one that I really missed, that I was really sad about? Paragon, that one. And then people are trying to revive it, but they're not succeeding because they're doing like lesser versions of it. Or like weird versions. God dang it, I messed it up. Paragon. I liked playing the orc with the drums. It was pretty cool. He was a support. There's a 2D platformer. That sounds very familiar. Oh! That reminds me of another one that went down. Oh. Yeah, that definitely has the hallmarks of a MOBA. I am just stacking like a fool. I could have done that. Well, this is good. Probably. Oh, no, I screwed it up. Yep. I've been dead hard, I've been dead hard. I've been dead really hard. I'm gonna lose and it's my fault. Spare me, oh Lord. I don't know. Hyper Universe, I think it's what it was called, is what I was thinking of, is the next one. It's a 2D side scroll. It's a 2.5D side scroller that I actually gave a key to my friend for. It was free to play, but I liked it. It was so fun. Why do all the good games die young? Ugh. I hope Paladins doesn't die out. Paladins is really good. I could do that. Yeah. Get an easy double. I don't even know if I turn the difficulty up or down. I can check. I don't know. I mean, it may suffer from old game syndrome, in which difficulty is a suggestion and not an absolute. I don't think I've ever talked about old game syndrome. That could serve for another good short. Oh, a triple, perhaps? Or no, just a double. I don't know. It's just Yap Central for me. I'm not even, like, committed. Yeah, Paladins is really good. It's not everyone's cup of tea, though, because it was originally an Overwatch clone. Oh, Overwatch could be fun to play on stream. I like playing Overwatch, even though a lot of people like to hate it. I mean, I don't blame them, considering Overwatch 2 is literally just... it's a reskin. Yeehaw! Oh no! I am in a heap of danger. But it's okay. 'Cause I got me a double. And I got me one of these. Is it now the time for the lock-in? Yeah. Old game syndrome is something I tend to refer to something that has an outdated method of doing a thing. And it's a vague thing. Hello, welcome! Guess who this is? This is me sister. Say hello. She's playing Silk Song. I will be playing Silk Song after I finish Hollow Knight. I'm actually doing a video series on that because I am deathly afraid of spoilers for Hollow Knight. Oh wow, this NPC really turned it around on me. That's not less than ideal. Whoops. Maeve is good still. Maeve is really good. I told you Maeve is still good. They'd made changes to her talents. Yeah, she's a pirate. She's a pirate. She's also part Leviathan type dragon. I am neither of those things, as you can plainly see. That makes her my non-canon sister. Whenever I do a lore video, I will explain further. This is supposed to be easy mode. Why am I suffering so hard? I don't know anymore. Oh, I forgot to do that Patrick voice for that one guy that was around. Oh well. Okay, my ability to do combos is very much hemorrhaged at present. Fascinating. Let's see. Nah, it won't beat her lore. It's something, but I don't want to make any promises because I haven't even animated anything as of yet. I bought an entirely new animation software that I've never used before, like a year ago, to try to do that. By the way, I forgot to ask earlier, has the stream been lagging in any way, shape, or form? I know we've been having bitrate troubles for the last one, but I've doubled it since. We are now at a whopping 12,000. Huh. We are now at the almost 2.5 hour mark. I may call it at 2.5 hours, but we'll see. Yeah, no. For what I am, it is atypical of what you would expect. I have finally pinned down... Oh, thank God it hasn't been lagging. Okay, thank you. I've finally pinned down what exactly I want to call myself in the near future, but we'll see when I can actually commit to that. Yeah, Twitch was a lot easier to set up, but Twitch did lag for certain. Should I have committed to that? I don't think so. Come on, give me something funny. I want to do... Oh, there's the funny. There's the funny. Can you give me another funny? I want to do another funny. Is that another funny? Perhaps? No. Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down, game. In that case, I'll force the funny myself. That's a 2 and that's a 3. This man is now cooked. Finally. I say, counting my chickens before they hatch. Counting my eggs before they hatch, not my chickens. Yeah, 936p was what I had used before intentionally. It's a mathematical thing. It was the best pixel ratio from bitrate to pixels. Come on, give me a purple one. I need a perp. I need the perp. I need the perp. Oh, it's even better. It's a funny perp. Alright, he's definitely dead now. If he wasn't dead before, he's basically cooked now. Alright, we're gonna continue. Yeah, YouTube was basically where I made my, where I basically made my start, so it is understandable. I did make an entirely separate VOD channel specifically for Twitch stuff, and then I called my YouTube stuff Legacy VODs. Looking back at it now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename that from Legacy VODs to just VODs again, and then call, like, the VODs on the Twitch channel, or the VODs on the VOD channel to be Twitch VODs, and have that be its own separate playlist. And then separate the two and maybe have my YouTube VODs on the VODs channel as well, even though it would be redundant to do so, just so that way I can have it as both an archive and a high quality version. Yeah. Thinking of doing that. It's redundant, but it's archival reasons. Why is he already dying? I didn't even do anything. Hold on. There was a tangent I wanted to go on, but I'm not entirely sure what it was. 'Tis the curse of yappage, I suppose. I don't know. I have reason to believe I may have told my entire life story on this stream. I actually, in fact, have not done that, because there's so much more, but an info dump is seldom welcome. Yeah. It's fine. Some things are better left unsaid. Uh-oh! We got in a bit of a battle. Good lord. I've never gotten into a garbage war before. I love seeing those on YouTube though, just like the back and forth garbage war. Oh, wait a minute. I do have something I did want to talk about though. It's an update on the platformer. Not a very big one. Tis a small one. But it's an update nonetheless. Got mega cooked. I could do a show and tell on that right quick, but I'm debating whether or not I should. Well, that's why he's dying, because he's destroying himself. I forgot his strategy was to stack everything high and then, like, just tear you down. There's that. And then there's that. This should shut down his attempts at a combo. So, the platformer. I have been in the process of rewriting systems. A lot of systems. In fact, a lot of the systems I've shown on my Oblivion stream are no longer functional because I'm rewriting them, including skill disk pickups. And one of the things that I implemented is a ledge hang system. No worries if you're stressed for time, it is pretty late. And I did say I was going to stop soon anyway, but I got wrapped up in my victory against the weird frog egg dude. So yeah, I did a ledge hang system. It's very finicky and very simplistic. Well, it's not as finicky as it was like last week, but progress has been made. Oh, he's dead. I guess I could actually launch the test build. I should have a test build available. Oh, the music's sped up. Alright, let me see. This is the part where I turn on the test build. My Explorer window is being concealed by Genesis Classics, which I find to be hilarious. So this is the part where I will move it to the other side of things. I have a folder of test builds specifically for this. That would be a plausible reason for why it would be a one-off. But no, it was a one-off because not only was the performance killing my computer, but honestly I lost interest in Oblivion very fast. Alrighty, have a good night. I will be closing out stream very soon. I just want to show the test build I have of the platformer that has been last modified September 6th of this year. Please work. It should work. Okay. Hold a moment. I need to Alt F4 this because Switch controllers are notorious for breaking PC games. So give me just a sec. Alright, I will relaunch this. Now, this test build in particular, I'm also going to close out Genesis Classics and make sure everything's right. Okay, so we are back in the good old test map that hasn't changed since a very long time. I made a lot of changes that are very finicky. I removed a lot of things, but the biggest thing is there's a ledge hang mechanic now. This green edge you see here is just that. It's a ledge hang. The animation is placeholder because it's an idle animation, and also because this isn't even the final player model. I need to fix the camera again because camera is something I reworked from the ground up. But yeah, basically you go near a ledge and then you grab it. One of the internal things that I was testing, which is not present in this test build, is making it so that way the ledge detection ray is in front of the player at all times. And it's, at first it was specifically where the model was facing. So you see where the chest is facing, that's where the detection would go. I changed that since to be an average between where the player model is facing and where the camera is facing. So if you see, for example, if the model is facing this way and the camera is facing this way, the ledge detection ray would be 45 degrees. Would that be 45 degrees from center? Yeah, 45 degrees from center to the character. Or if you're thinking of the character's orientation, negative 45 degrees to the character's left. Yep. No worries. I had shown pretty much everything I wanted to show. That, and also I'm starting to implement a dynamic camera system. So this is for an isometric camera. In case I have isometric levels, I need to fix the camera snapping. This is the normal camera for when I want to return the camera to normal. This is a 2.5D camera for when I want to do side-scroller segments. It'll have movement limitation left and right when that's done. And then the last one is a Resident Evil, I think Resident Evil style fixed camera in case I have static rooms with a fixed camera. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I had for the game. Ledge hanging is a go, still a bit finicky, but work in progress. Aside from that, abilities are still a work in progress, but they are being reworked as well. Alrighty, and that's that. Okay, with that said, I do want to thank you very much for visiting, as per usual. I really do appreciate it. Next stream is going to be the birthday stream, which I guess is going to be Yakuza. Yeah, I suppose that shall be what it is. I don't know how long I'm going to stream, or when I'm going to stream. So what I'm going to do is the placeholder time I'm going to place for the scheduled stream is going to be set, but it is not going to be fixed. So I may change it at a moment's notice, but definitely not like hours before unless there's going to be an emergency. Aside from that, that's going to be on the 27th because that's when my birthday is. Again, keeping the age a secret for mystique reasons. I am old enough to drink, so maybe, if I'm lucky, I may get a little, drinky drink. May ask someone for a little help on that front. If not, then that's okay. Because I did have a drunk Yakuza stream at one point before, and it was very funny. So, thank you again very much for watching, and I'll see you another time. Have a good day. Beans in your pockets. I don't even know what I'm saying. Good night. Have a good one.